In 1953, a covert operation unfolded in Iran that would reshape not only nations' destiny but also the way global powers engaged in regime change. This was Operation Ajax, a joint CIA and MI6 mission to overthrow Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. Let's break the events down in today's episode of TAC Explained. Behind the operation lay a tangled web of oil politics, Cold War fears, imperial ambition, and a lesson in how newly independent or decolonizing nations in global south were forced to navigate a world still dominated by Western powers. Iran's oil industry, discovered and developed by the British in the early 20th century, was controlled almost entirely by the British-owned Anglo-Iranian company, which would later become the British Petroleum. For Britain, Iranian oil was a vital economic lifeline. For Iranians, however, it symbolized exploitation. While British refineries ran day and night, Iran received only a fraction of the profits and most of its people lived in poverty. At the time, Iran was a constitutional monarchy. The Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was the head of the state. While the prime minister was chosen through parliamentary politics, Mossadegh had come to power in 1951 with massive parliamentary and popular support. But his push to limit Shah's power and reclaim Iran's oil from foreign control put him on a collision course with both domestic elites and powerful Western government. He made the bold decision to nationalize Iran's oil industry, taking control from the British. To ordinary Iranians, Mossadegh became a hero, the man who stood up to imperial powers. But in London, his moves were seen as an existential threat. Britain retaliated with sanctions, blockades, and democratic pressure. Here is a lesser known fact. Britain first tried to challenge Iranians' nationalization through the United Nations and International Court of Justice. Mossadegh even traveled to Hague in 1952 to defend Iran's position. The ICJ ultimately ruled that it had no jurisdiction over the case, forcing Britain to abandon this legal route. For many in the global south, this moment was symbolic. A newly sovereign nation had used international forum to block former colonial power, if only temporarily. But for Britain and its allies, it was a worrying precedent. If one country could successfully defy Western corporate control of resources, others might be inspired to follow. By the early 1950s, newly independent countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America were beginning to challenge the colonial era contracts over lands, mineral, and oil. Iran's defiance threatened to inspire similar moves, from the Suez Canal in Egypt to copper mines in Latin America. The fear in Washington and London wasn't just about losing Iranian oil, it was also about losing the ability to dictate economic terms to the global south. When the British turned to United States, President Truman administration initially resisted. But by 1953, with Eisenhower in White House, Cold War paranoia was at its peak. In the US, Mossadegh's independence was recast as a communist risk, even though he cracked down on Iran's Tudeh party. The contradiction highlights how narrative of communist threat was used to justify the 1953 coup against him, despite his actions against the Communist Party. The CIA plan codenamed TP Ajax was built on deception and manipulation. K. Roosevelt Jr., grandson of US President Theodore Roosevelt, ran the operation from the basement of US Embassy in Tehran, bribing politicians, planting anti-Mossadegh stories in the press, and hiring street mobs. Some of these protesters came directly from Tehran's criminal underworld, paid in cash to create illusion of popular unrest. The coup's first attempt failed on August 15th, prompting Shah to flee first to Baghdad, then to Rome. But 4 days later, on August 19, a second more aggressive push succeeded. Mossadegh was arrested after his house was shelled and General Fazlollah Zahedi, favored by CIA, became the prime minister. The Shah returned to Iran with Western backing and all concessions were restructured to benefit British, American, Dutch and French companies. Operation Ajax's immediate goals were met, but the long-term effects rippled across South Asia. It showed that even democratically elected leaders in post-colonial nations could be removed if their policies clashed with the Western economic interests. It became a blueprint for similar interventions in Guatemala in 1953, Congo in 1961, and Chile in 1973, reinforcing the message that sovereignty in Global South was conditional. For Iran, the coup marked the start of 25 years of authoritarian rule under the Shah, backed by brutal secret police and deepening resentment towards US and Britain. For the broader Global South, it was a sobering warning. The fight for true independence did not end with lowering of the colonial flag. In the end, Operation Ajax was not just an Iranian story, it was a turning point in post-colonial world, a moment where the aspirations of global South nations collided head-on with the geopolitical and economic machinery of the West, with consequences that still shape the international politics today. That is all from me today. This is Nidhi for the Asian Chronicles.